Hello, welcome to FIT2BOX channel, and today we're having a fight discussion about the upcoming fight between Floyd Money Mayweather and Conor McGregor. Joining me, I've got James, Alex and Damien, and we're going to be discussing lots of the things that have happened in the build up to this mega fight. I'm going to start off with some introductions. Obviously myself, I run FIT2BOX channel, which is a dedicated channel to boxing equipment on YouTube, so check that out. We've got James with me here.
Hi, I'm James. I've been boxing for about, I would say, 18 months.
Yeah.
18 months with Simon at the club, and a bit with friends, sparring stuff, very sort of casual level, no amateur bouts, nothing like that, just more for sort of fun.
Okay, Alex?
Yeah, hi, I'm Alex. I'm a amateur taekwondo fighter and boxing amateur boxer as well. I've been boxing for about 3 years and doing taekwondo for about 10 plus years probably.
So Alex should be able to give us a real insight into what it's like to do a martial art and then to come into boxing, which is exactly what he's doing. And then we've got Damien on the end there.
Yeah, hello, I'm Damien. My background and experience has been purely boxing, not mixed martial arts. I've known Simon since about 2003, so my experience is quite a long time with boxing. About 14 years at Telford Amateurs, so that's my boxing history. So
the reason I've got these guys together is there's a range of sort of opinions when it comes to the fight, and they're all intelligent guys. You know, there's not going to be any fights going on here, but we're going to cover off some of the main points and talking points that have been over the last few weeks. And we're going to start off with, who do you want to win the fight? So it's, who do you want to win the fight?
Well, we all know who you want to win the fight.
I want Floyd Mayweather to win.
Why?
For the good of boxing, I just think Floyd Mayweather has got to win. Despite of what he does outside the ring when he's doing stuff to like his ex-wife and whatnot, for boxing, for me, he's got to win.
Well, you know who I want to win.
Well, you better tell us that.
Well, I want McGregor to win, obviously.
Yeah, but why?
Because he just seems like he's a very charismatic guy. Like,
he is.
Well, I don't see why you wouldn't want him to win, especially from a neutral point of view. If you're not completely in line with boxing, has to win this boxing match, then
yeah. No, I get that. He come across great in the press conferences.
But the other side of that is, how many Mayweather bouts has everybody wanted the other person to win?
Most of them.
Yeah. So it doesn't fill me with, like, it's not exactly like it's a new thing for Floyd, is it really?
Oh, he'll be well used to it.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm kind of McGregor for me.
Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I understand what Si's saying about it being good for boxing if Floyd wins. Personally, I'm a big McGregor fan. I think it'd be, for me, I think if you look down the history of sort of combat sports and you rattle off sort of the legendary names you mentioned, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Bruce Lee, for me I think Conor might be the next stage in that sort of sequence.
Changing the game.
I think changing the game. I think I think obviously boxing is a great style of combat, but I think maybe there's potentially a lot to be learned from other martial arts and fighting styles, which Conor might be able to bring to the sport.
That's a massive statement from Alex right out the blocks there. Personally, I think Floyd Mayweather has already changed the game, but I totally get what you're saying there, because he will bring something different. Yeah. Damien?
It's, for me, it's Mayweather, but unfortunately it's the wrong reasons. As you've already mentioned there, since the Saul Alvarez fight, the Pacquiao fights, I watched all those live because I wanted to see Mayweather lose. And I wasn't watching, I'm not a fan of Mayweather. I don't like this, when boxers like Mayweather, like Adrian Broner, they have this attitude about them that they're the best, they're the greatest, and whereas you had like Muhammad Ali saying it 30, 40 years ago with tongue in cheek, they genuinely mean it. And I don't think, if I was a boxer, I would never ever profess myself to be the best. That would be the job of the fans and the media, to say, look at what he's doing, look at who he's fighting. He's the best because they think you're the best, not because you profess it yourself. So I've never liked Mayweather, but as you've mentioned there, for the good of boxing, we've got a man in Mayweather who, with Saul Alvarez, one of the best boxers of our time, he embarrassed him. And he barely laid a hand on Mayweather. Pacquiao, we thought would do the business, didn't get near him. Mayweather is technically so brilliant, and I have to give credit where it's due. I don't like the man, but technically and defensively, he's so good a boxer. If McGregor beats him, it's for boxing, it destroys boxing.
Yeah.
Because such a professional technical boxer should be able to handle a mixed martial artist who doesn't specialise in boxing.
Yeah, absolutely. See, I like Prince Naseem's and your Muhammad Ali's and Chris Eubank Senior. I loved all of them boxers because of that sort of that persona that they've got and what they bring to the game. I think is ace in terms of interest as well. So, how does Conor McGregor beat Floyd?
Relentless, just a relentless pace. You can't let him rest. Get used to him for a minute. He's got to keep changing it up. He'll go from southpaw to orthodox. He'll be very unorthodox in his approach, and he has to keep that up because, like we've seen Mayweather do how many times, susses somebody out after a few rounds and then just winds them in and breaks them down slowly and psychologically by taking their shots away with like the best counter punching that we've ever seen. Yeah,
is a UFC guy going to be able to out stamina a boxer? That would be the question.
Well, based on his training, he looks good. He's had Joe Cortez, the referee, in.
Yeah.
There was an interview of him today, and he said he looks very good. He's improved drastically over the weeks. He's been doing 12-round spars as part of his training.
Yeah.
And they haven't been spars, they've been fights, they've been referees, they've been heavy spars or fights. So I don't think fitness is going to be an issue for a 28-year-old, 29-year-old Conor McGregor in his prime.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to sort of agree with the fitness aspect. I think that obviously not taking anything away from boxing, because I know how tough it is. I've been in the ring, it's hard to go those rounds. But I think for Conor, he's used to 5-minute rounds with only 4 breaks in between each round. Well, sorry, a break in between each round, so that's only 4 1-minute breaks in between. I also think that in the sort of the MMA game, you've got the sort of the wrestling, which I've never done it personally, but I hear is supposed to be extremely tiring on the body. The groundwork as well meant to be really tiring.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of the sort of how do I think Conor's going to win? I think he's got to approach it from sort of a traditional sort of martial arts sort of standpoint. I think obviously there's martial arts out there sort of like karate and taekwondo and jiu-jitsu. They've been around for hundreds of years, and I think they're tried and tested in their own fields, but I think they're untested in boxing. And if he can manage to make it work within the rules of boxing, those techniques, obviously it's just hands, but I think in those martial arts you've got different rhythms, you've got different foot patterns, different distances. Obviously in taekwondo and karate you fight from a much further away distance, and you've got to cover the distance incredibly quick to make sure you're not hit by sort of kicking techniques. I think if Conor's going to do it, I think he needs to fight from an outside range, cover the distance incredibly quickly, and then fight from a sort of an inside range where he's strong in the sort of the clinch positions. He won't be able to outbox Floyd. He's got obviously clearly he wouldn't be able to outbox Floyd. He's the best boxer of his generation, but I think he's got to do it.
So you would think like James has got to try and outwork him?
I don't think personally. I don't think he shouldn't go for the sort of the Maidana approach, which is sort of more than him. I don't think personally. I think he's got to use different style techniques, which Floyd simply can't prepare for because he won't understand those techniques himself.
That's what I mean, sort of about the unorthodox approach. It's just going to be so different, and then he can't let Floyd get used to that. He's just got to keep going and keep going.
Damien?
Yeah, I think the old adage in boxing was that you fight an old fighter, you press them. And that's the idea, that you get a young man fighting an older man, you fight them on the chest, and you defeat them by stamina. I get Alex's point, as we've just been talking now, but that might not work like Maidana's approach, because Mayweather can inside fighting type, he knows the tricks of the trade, he's not just an outside fighter. I think an outside fight would favour Mayweather on his jab. I think McGregor would be better inside to rough him up on the hooks and the uppercuts and the short snapper punches on the inside. But I think James made a very good point about being unorthodox. Recently, in the last couple of years, I'll take for example Tyson Fury's win over Klitschko. No one thought that was coming. Now Klitschko dominated for 10, 11 years at the top, and everyone has kind of stood in front of him like almost in awe of this methodical jab, jab cross, jab cross, jab cross, and they've never. And Tyson Fury, it was an ugly win. It wasn't a brilliant win, but he won.
He won, yeah.
And all the judges, it was quite clear in some instances because he just fiddled about and didn't sit still and didn't let Klitschko tee off, and the whole night Klitschko's waiting to throw the right hand, and he just never let it go. And he said he'd be just constantly moving, and he was about to set, and he's off again. He's like, "Where are you going?"
Yeah.
He couldn't tie him down. So James has made a great point there, is that he's just unorthodox. He went from orthodox, he went to southpaw. His hands were low. It was Detroit style, and he was up high. He was all over the place, and Klitschko just couldn't get it.
Yeah.
I think similar. McGregor does something similar to Mayweather, where he just messes about and just does something that's not orthodox.
Yeah.
Whereas a regular boxer will come out and do a certain thing, and that's them, that's their pattern. You produce something that is just so irregular, you can't get into a rhythm.
I think that Conor's best chance is to catch him really early, like he did with Aldo, you know. And then I think after, if he doesn't catch him really early, I think his chances fade pretty quickly as the rounds go by.
That's the general.
You know, I just think that Floyd figures him out. But yeah, I get that. You know, he's going to bring something different. But a lot of the stuff that, like his body positioning and things that he does, is going to help him in his MMA. But is it still going to give him that massive advantage in the boxing? I'm not so sure. I mean, the next question is how does Floyd beat Conor? Now, I just think that he's going to make him miss, as he makes everyone miss. Yeah. I think he's saying that he's going to fight. He's not going to fight. He's going to box because he's a boxer. And then also, people I think that Conor McGregor is going to rough Floyd up. But if you watch Ricky Hatton fight, it wasn't. Everyone thought that Ricky Hatton was going to rough Floyd up, and it wasn't. It was Floyd roughing Ricky Hatton up with the help of Joe Cortez.
Yeah, the referee helped.
The referee helped him.
As soon as Hatton was on him,
he
was just get off.
This is Vegas that they're fighting in. Yeah. It is Floyd's land. Yeah. So
that's his patch.
The ref is not going to put up with anything from Conor McGregor that is outside the rules of boxing.
I think when it comes to roughing up, I think I'd struggle to see Floyd roughing Conor up on the inside. Obviously, because you know when you have the sort of the clinch in boxing, it just gets separated really quickly, doesn't it? I think in sort of an MMA sort of fight, they try and clinch as much as they can. Yeah. I think Conor.
But he can't use any of the stuff that he can use in MMA.
I think with the thing with what Conor might do, I think it'll be sort of body positioning. Do you know what I mean? Positioning where he can lean certain parts of his body. Yeah. In different positions where a boxer would lean their body. Do you know what I mean? I think because they specialise in that in MMA. I'm not saying it'll be effective on Floyd, but I'm saying it's an angle he could approach.
Yeah. I mean, how do you think, James? How do you think Floyd beats Conor?
Making him miss, dancing around the ring, any sort of punch to a combo. We've seen him do it so many times where it's almost just like a lean away, isn't it? Yeah. And he just gets away, just avoids shots, and then. If he does that, if he manages to do that for however many rounds, then he's just going to be able to increase his amount of punches, see what Conor's doing, work him out. It's all part of him working Conor out, not getting punched, punching back, winning on points. He's never going to knock McGregor out. He can only win on points, whereas McGregor can win on technical knockout. I don't think he's going to win on points.
That's interesting you say that you don't think the boxer can knock.
I think he could knock Conor out. I think he not from a one punch power hit like a Golovkin, but I think from the constant sort of
like a barrage.
I think
rounds.
It'll be like when he fought Arturo Gatti. I think he'll be that pot shotting him that often that it'll just break him. Over time, nobody was like tougher than Arturo Gatti, and he literally just took the guy to pieces, round after round of just literally making him miss and hitting him. And I could see him doing that to Conor. It's not a clean knockout, but it's a wearing down process, which is what the 12 rounds is going to allow him to do. Damien, what do you reckon?
Yeah, distance and jab, like the Pacquiao, like the Gatti. I think in some respects he'll want to draw McGregor in and then counter punch, and then draw him in and counter punch and make him think he's not going to stand there like everyone thought when he fought Pacquiao. Thought he's going to have a tear up. why play to the advantage? And McGregor, he knows, he's a taller man, he's a naturally bigger man. If he's struggling to find the weight, we know if he gets the weight, he's going to rehydrate and be 8-10 pounds heavier than he hits the scales.
The same 170, aren't they?
Yeah, so we know on the night they're looking at almost light heavyweights coming in past super middle. So they're going to be some size. I think Mayweather just draws him in counters, lets him think he's going to get on, spin away, just ghost him. Yeah. And I think that's how he does it. He's just going to ghost him, just hold the gloves high, roll away. He did it to Pacquiao all night long.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's similar again. Just good footwork, good counter punching. As McGregor's coming on, there's nothing worse than getting hit when you're going forwards. When you're going backwards or you're static, it does a certain thing. But you're coming on and trying to hit someone, and someone puts one right down the pipe. It hurts a lot more. Yeah, I think McGregor's getting that all night long. Yeah,
I think so. Just to move on to Conor McGregor's training. Obviously, there's been a lot of footage of him, and you know, you've seen David A. and Terence Crawford, and they've been doing all the thing. I think that's a bit disrespectful, really, to Conor McGregor and his training, because obviously he's going to have to do something totally different. And I do think that, you know, his training that he does normally and all the body movement and he does with, what's that guy's name? Ido Portal. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that has not been looked into in boxing at all that obviously Conor has been looking into and been using effectively. So I think they're a bit disrespectful there to Conor in that respect. But he's got no boxing coach, so he really is going at it unorthodox. He's really thinking like, okay, I can do it my way. It is boxing at the end of the day. I think, you know, that might prove costly mistake not to have somebody that knows boxing training. What do you reckon, James?
I think that's all part of his advantage, isn't it? The unorthodox nature of how he's going about it. Them arm things. Yeah. Well, as you described them as arm things. Well,
it's a shoulder warm-up, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's all it is, a shoulder warm-up. So it's not like he's going to come to the ring doing this, is it?
It was. They were talking about it on his channel, The Mac Life, and it's sort of like a whip in the arm, and it's like detaching sort of the shoulder. It's just he is going with this unorthodox thing. It's going to be completely different, and that is going to be the way he wins, isn't it? So I don't think it'd make any sense for him to get a boxing coach and try and learn boxing the boxing way. I think carrying on doing his way, his movement, swapping, he's going to be in and out very quickly. So if he can get in, land and get back out again, that's going to be to his advantage, staying as far away from Floyd, getting in and getting out. And all this unorthodox nature, like I say, it's just to his advantage really, isn't it? Yeah. Because no one's outboxed Floyd ever. No. So he can't go and try and outbox him.
He can't follow. It's the blueprint, isn't it? Yeah. Floyd Mayweather always says there isn't a blueprint, and Conor McGregor is obviously trying to create his own blueprint. What about Conor's training then, Alex? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, like James said, I think it's got to be unorthodox, really. I think it would make no sense for him to bring in a boxing coach personally. I know it's in the rules of boxing.
I'm Alex's boxing coach, so that's really disappointing to hear.
See, if I was fighting Floyd, so I would bring you in.
Oh yeah, exactly. Contradicted himself there.
But from Conor's point of view, yeah, I think he's got to stay unconventional for this, really. The arm warm up. I think he said it was one of the Gracies, which was is a jiu-jitsu.
The Gracie brothers.
Yeah, Renzo Gracie was his warm up. Yeah. So you can, you know, that's, if people are sort of disrespecting it, it's because they don't know about it, do they? Yeah. I think they've simply got to do what they can to be different. I think as long as Conor is aware of boxing and the rules of boxing, he can work within that framework, and he can go about that any way he wants. Really, I think his training looks good. I think he's got his own conditioning program that he follows normally when it comes to fitness. I think it's the fast program he calls it, and I think that he's had that since the Diaz 2 fight. Yeah. And that seems to be working for him so far. So let's see if it crosses over to boxing, because it's different, isn't it? So
I know that when we've had sort of MMA guys down at the boxing gym, you know, I know you said about the 5-minute rounds, but a lot of that time, if you're on the floor, and I know it's very technical on the floor when they're doing all the wrestling and everything, I know that trying to get in position, that can be tiring. But it's a total different type of stamina to somebody who's trying to punch you in the head and body relentlessly for 3 minutes of every round.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Floyd's that type of fighter, but that's where they seem to struggle, is they get out to the ring at the boxing club and they say, I've got a new respect for boxing. And I would say to any MMA guy to go to a boxing club and experience that, because unless you've actually had someone coming at you, you know, full minute after minute, round after round, with their boxing, and putting you under that pressure, it's very easy to say, well, we do 5-minute rounds and you only do 3, but it's totally different, totally different. Jamie, what do you think with Conor's training?
Yeah, I think it's a natural thing. I'll start with this. It's a natural thing to feel what you don't understand. I think boxers have come forward and ridiculed Conor for what he's done, as if they expect him to get in the ring and start trying to fight like this. I'll put an interesting fact on the table. It's a little bit boring, but I'll put it on the table.
If it's boring, Damien, don't mention it.
No, I'm going to mention it because it's worthwhile. Bruce Lee, 1957, he was Hong Kong Cha-Cha dance champion.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the point of something, a documentary I watched recently about Bruce Lee, and perhaps one of the father of mixed martial arts, and how his Jeet Kune Do style was so unorthodox and he didn't get away from the kata and the structure of karate and things. He developed this fighting style. He initially was a dance champion. So the idea of Conor saying that the roll in the arms, that he can turn a jab into a hook, and how he brings his arm around and doing these things, it's similar with how Bruce Lee was well known for being able to mimic boxers of his time, the Archie Moores, the Jersey Joe Walcotts, the Joe Frazers. You'd say he'd do an impression. He would mimic them absolutely perfectly because he understood body movement.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it's going to work, but I have sympathy for McGregor, and he's getting a lot of stick because I think these movements and the suppleness, and same with Bruce Lee being able to dance so well, you might think that's a bit strange for someone that was meant to be such a brilliant combatant, but he had that fluid, that body motion is so important. And it's like if you say that people that in mixed martial arts, they find a respect for boxing. If you watch a boxing fight and you get around and you put it on fast forward, you'll just see 2 men doing this. And it's really funny to watch. A 3-minute round in boxing, you get 2 men doing that, getting away from the right hand. You watch a UFC fight, fast forward a round, they do that. They don't move. They're not used to the foot movement. They kind of stand there, come together, and then they're all on the floor. But there's no real lateral foot movement. They just kind of come together, do what they've got to do, get away. And it's like I say, it's a different type of stamina. But it's kind of bizarre how you watch a boxing fight and fast forward. And there's so much. It's so tiring being on your feet and lifting yourself and moving, and then as well as trying to fight. We'll see what happens on the night, but I don't ridicule him. It looks a bit peculiar, but from what I've learned from other documentaries and from Bruce Lee and other things, I can see where he's coming from. I think you know, he's got that's a wild card up his sleeve.
There's one thing I will say about it. I saw Anthony Joshua talk about it the other night, talk about running, and Conor McGregor doesn't do any running. He says it's bad for his joints, but Joshua says there's 2 most important things before a fight: is him road running, carrying your body for that amount of time, for the 12 rounds, and sparring. And this is something that McGregor doesn't do. So that would be my only thing.
Running has been a staple of boxers' training for years, and I know it's changing.
It's the basic, isn't it?
You know, it is the basic, the road work, the early morning runs, the doing what your opponent's not going to do. I mean, now I think people are more getting into the sprints and doing like stuff up hills and downhills and stuff, and that's sort of bringing it further again. But yeah, road work in boxing is massive because it's all the heart and lungs.
Skipping.
All the heart and lungs.
Skipping. I haven't seen Conor do any skipping.
No, you've got to be on your feet, jumping up and down, carrying your body weight for a long time.
I think that, you know, however fit he is in the UFC, I just think that the boxing fitness is a different type of fitness, and that's not disrespecting the fitness that you need in the cage, but it's the same as if I went rowing. I went rowing with my brother-in-law, thinking I was boxing fit, and it's a different type of fitness. You know, it's being able to channel into that sport, and it is a totally different sport. I mean, with regards to Floyd's training, you know, he's never out of shape. You know, he's been 2 years, he hasn't had a fight, and he doesn't look like he's put a pound on. He looked a little bit more sort of muscular in one thing that I saw, but he's not like a Ricky Hatton. He doesn't go up and down in his weight. He never abuses his body. And he's trying to say that, you know, people are trying to say that he's not training as hard because he's overlooking Conor. I think that he is training as hard as any fight that he ever has. He's clowning in front of the camera, pretending he's going to various, different recreational stuff that he's doing, including his strip club. But in reality, 2 or 3 o'clock every morning, he'll be training really hard. So, what about yourself, James? Do you think Floyd's sort of taking him for granted? Do you think he's neglecting his training?
No, there's no chances. He's got more to lose in this fight than any he has before. I think he is stupid, but I don't think he's that stupid. So yeah, it's Chris Eubank Jr. tweeted the other day saying that he's in as good a shape he's ever been in. He'd been watching him for the last few weeks, and said he's not underestimating this fight. So based on that, there's no signals from anywhere that suggest he is, to me, apart from his own personal mind, which what I believe are mind games.
Yeah, of course. So, yeah. I mean, he's going to be sort of, and Conor McGregor, I don't think will fall for that anyway. He can see what's happening.
I don't think he'd necessarily care what he was doing anyway.
Yeah, he's only got to prepare for himself, hasn't he, and then bring his bit to the table. Floyd's training, Alex. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. I think he's going to be as fit as he's ever been, really. You can't knock his commitment when it comes to training. Everyone's seen his training footage of how committed he is. Yeah. I think the one thing I would say maybe with his training is I'm not sure who he'd be getting in as sparring partners.
Difficult.
Because he might just think to himself, right, I'm going to get in some MMA fighters to spar with. Personally, from my point of view, I think that would be sort of really hard to sort of call upon who you'd call upon. I think Conor's if you watch him in the UFC, he fights from sort of a karate, taekwondo stance, which is a lot wider than a boxing stance.
Yeah.
Is it quite square opposed to being?
No,
sideways,
it's much more side on than it's even more side on than a boxing stance, because you attack with your front leg, so it's got to be as far forward as possible.
So that takes his backhand away, really. Because he's further away,
but it also generates more power, because when you bring it round, you've got to pivot your body that much more.
I mean, I think with the with the sort of the front leg forward, because the stance is so much wider, it does give the illusion that you're closer than you are, because your feet are closer, but you can lean further back with your body. But going back to Floyd, I'm not sure whether he would recognise the fact he needs to bring in. I mean, it would be difficult for anyone to recognise he needs to bring in a karate fighter to spar with. You know what I mean? I think he'd be sparring with top class boxers. I've heard Errol Spence and Zab Judah in the camp at the minute. But I don't think he'd understand that he needs to bring in certain types of martial arts to mimic what Conor's going to do. But in terms of his fitness, I think that's going to be top condition.
Okay, so let's just talk about the Malignaggi sparring. Obviously, I think Malignaggi had said quite dismissively of Conor about how he would handle him. I think he even said how the cameraman would handle him as well. So obviously that annoyed Conor. And then I think they thought, we'll bring him in. I think they set him up. I think that he was unfit. Obviously all he's done is fight commentary. He hasn't been doing anything. So you can see from the pictures, the stills, he looks overweight around the midriff. And I think he thought as an ex-world champion he was going to come in, they was going to welcome him in and he was going to be able to advance Conor as a boxer, and that's not what that was about. That was about a setup, getting him in and basically trying to beat him up in front of their own cameras. So he feels like obviously he's been treated badly. I think the photos, they didn't look good. And then to release these 30 seconds of footage, which, let's be honest, I mean, I watch spars at the gym where it's a 2-minute round and it's fairly even. And then the next time I see that footage, which has been edited down by one of the people, and I see it on social media, it looks like the one guy's like absolutely battered the other guy. Because you can do a lot with editing. And if 30 seconds is the only thing that they can get from 12 rounds of sparring, and the change of angle on it as well was weird, it was just strange. In 30 seconds he did a lot of fouling on there, as in my opinion, stuff that he's not going to be able to do in the ring. Taps the back of the head, holding and hitting, whatever. You can't do that in boxing, and the ref will take points off from him, and it's not in the rules, and he's got to fight to the rules. So, I mean, what did you think to the Malignaggi stuff?
To be the other side of that, I think, so it's 30 seconds, it was answering a question of the Paul Malignaggi saying, I didn't get knocked out, I didn't get hit, I got pushed down.
Mm.
So that 30-second clip was to directly answer that, to
Yeah.
directly say, no, you did get knocked about,
Yeah.
knocked down.
Well, he was punched at the back of the head.
Well, the
If
straight
you-
left
if
that
you-
he lands.
There's two good shots.
I don't. It doesn't matter who you are. If you land that against Paulie, then you're not an amateur, are you? You're not a.
But he said, Malinaji said that those two straight lefts was in the later rounds, and the
Yeah.
actual push down was in the earlier rounds. And yet, when the film comes out, it's as if that's the lead up to
Yeah, to the
the actual going down. Well, that's editing for you. That's like, well, I'll just put that there, and it looks like he's landed two good shots.
Yeah.
He was hitting the back of the head, and that can disorientate you. It's an illegal shot, but it can disorientate you. And then, as far as I could see, he pushed him down, and then he hit him like that. You can't hold somebody anytime in boxing. You might be able to in UFC, but this is not UFC. So, from what I could see, from a very short clip, I think he'd got several warnings from the referee in 30 seconds.
Mm.
And if you listen to Joe Cortez, he's actually going, no, no, no.
Yeah. Well, my point again is sort of answering the Paulie saying I didn't get knocked about.
Did you think
got pushed down.
you think he was knocked down, not a push?
The sequence that I saw, where
Mhm.
it's the straight left and it follows about, he looks like he's swaying about. And some people are saying that's tiredness. I don't know how much of that is tiredness, how much that is sort of being disoriented by them shots that he did receive from
Yeah.
McGregor. What I've also heard is that he caught wind that he was going to be asked to go out there, so he did
Mhm.
have a bit of fitness beforehand.
Yeah.
He did 6 to 8 rounds of sparring. Before that spar,
Yeah.
flew out to do a commentary, flew back, and then it was straight off the plane.
Yeah. And he was training in that time. But if he, say for example, hasn't trained for 10 months and then he's got 1 week, because he was going back into the lion's den, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's what he was doing. So, yeah.
But he also said he could beat him with one hand tied behind his back.
Yeah, and again,
Which is like,
yeah, and
there's a lot of boxers who said, no, I won't come and spar with you, all the best
yeah,
for the night, because there's people, it was Brendan Schaub was talking about it. Is he the guy who was on with Joe Rogan? quite often?
Yeah, he is.
He was talking about one of his friends. He said he'd been invited to go and spar. He said no, because the whole boxing community will hate me. So
yeah.
if Paulie,
Adrian Broner said that.
Adrian Broner, yeah.
so if Paulie had come out and said, yeah, we've got a great camp and McGregor beats him, then what? So this is the only scenario that Paulie wins from, really. Isn't it?
Initially, Paulie was coming out and he was quite complimentary about him. It was only when the footage and the photos started coming out that he thought I'm being made a bit of a mug here, and that was when he started to strike back. And from Paulie, I got that it was quite a reluctant thing, because in boxing, you what stays in the spar stays in the spar sort of thing. You know, people don't generally talk about it. Even when you got like people talking about knocking Anthony Joshua out and stuff in sparring, when they speak to the guys, they're very sort of, well, they don't actually come out and say, oh yeah, I did this. It's quite it's a bit of a code, because it's only sparring at the end of the day.
Yeah.
What about you, Alex? What do you reckon?
It's hard to tell. It's hard to make anything of it, really, because there's only so much footage there, isn't there? Really?
Did you think it was a knockdown?
Oh, I mean, it looked like Paulie. It looked like he was a bit worse for wear. But the way Paulie describes it is, Conor had his hand on the back of his neck.
Yeah.
Conor was pushing down, Paulie was pushing up, and as Conor lets go, sort of Paulie springs back. That's the way Paulie says it. I mean, it's half a one, really. It's really, I can't. I mean, I'd say it's more of a scuffle and he falls over sort of thing. I wouldn't say, it certainly isn't a clean shot and he drops, is it really?
No.
I mean, obviously you've got the UFC side, you've got Dana and Conor's team saying Paulie got absolutely battered for 12 rounds. Yeah. And then you've got Paulie saying, well, no, he had these moments, but it was fairly even throughout.
At least the footage is what he's saying for the 12 rounds.
Yeah. I mean, there's some good shots in there by Conor. I understand what you're saying. There's definitely some illegal stuff in there as well. It's hard to know what to make of it, because he can release what he wants and he chooses what goes out. And I don't know. I'm not really sure what to make of the footage, to be honest.
Damien, knock down or push?
Yeah, I'll go knock down.
Yeah?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, there's a couple. It depends if it's been edited, but there's a couple of nice straight lefts, really jolts.
Oh, beautiful shots. Beautiful shots.
Tracking shot down the pipe.
Yeah.
And then it could be an accumulation of things as they're going round. He gradually, it's not a bang, down you go, he's steadily going.
Yeah.
And he's just mauling with him as he's going, and a bit of a push and a shove, and we've seen that many times in boxing fights anyway. Giving people a little bit of a push just to make sure they sort of fall over. Something that sprung to mind was the Lennox Lewis-Mike Tyson fight, that knockout punch. Big right hand, the Tyson stands there, but he just gives him the shoulder, and down you go, son.
Yeah.
And referee Cotton says that's okay, and he's knocked out. So yeah, I think it's just the accumulation of what was going on. I'm getting a bit annoyed by Malnage's going persistently, just going on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
I think this is just, one, to create media attention, and two, is to create needle. So when Mayweather's done with McGregor, Malnage gets
I would agree.
He has said
big
that's
payday.
something that he would return.
I think
retirement.
he's angling for McGregor's next second pro boxing fight. Malnage gets a nice payday, gets the needle.
Yeah.
I did this to you in sparring. No, you didn't. Yes, I did.
Yeah,
no, I didn't. Well, let's settle in the ring.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Do you think that Mayweather is underestimating Conor?
I think his camp is. I think Floyd Senior is, and the people who are like
Jeff
absolutely
Mayweather,
laughing him,
who's hilarious,
absolutely laughing him off. How much of that is real? How much of that is mind games again? Like, as I said, I don't think Floyd is. His camp appears to be.
Yeah.
Whether
I mean,
or not
Floyd,
that is true or not.
Floyd keeps on saying that he's partying every day at the.
Yeah, but we see through that.
The girl
don't we?
collection.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to plug his club as well as the fight there.
Well, we all see through that. And
Other clubs are available.
Like Telford ABC, is that another club?
Yes,
that's
another
available?
club. Yeah.
Camp potentially, maybe mind games again. Floyd never is. Again, mind games. Well, he appears to be. But like Floyd Senior, have you seen him and McGregor in the one press conference?
Yeah.
And like McGregor's just like he's laughing so much.
Yeah.
But like he's not Senior is not laughing at all. He's not aware of how funny he actually is being with his seriousness. If that
and I think he was
sense.
the same when he was training Ricky Hatton. Some of the stuff he was coming out with was disrespectful to Ricky Hatton's previous trainers, and I think he does say stuff, and it's like he doesn't care what he's saying. So I don't necessarily think that what he's saying is that valid, really. He knows his boxing. He definitely knows his boxing. He's been a great trainer, but you know, I think perhaps a little bit dismissive of Conor's skills. But they are looking at it from a boxing point of view, and they're looking. Floyd Mayweather's been boxing since he was 5 or 6 years old, and this guy has been doing it for 6 months.
Is that too black and white?
Well,
That's my take.
well,
on it.
you've been training, and Alex has been training, and we've all sort of like had that sort of progression from boxing. You can't learn boxing overnight. You can improve massively over a short period of time, but when you've been practicing something as long as Floyd Mayweather has, is that so ingrained that it's just.
But that's what we're kind of saying. Is it's not just boxing for Conor, is it? It is something a bit different.
Yeah.
It is. You know, he's been studying fighting from 16, 17, whatever. So for the last
absolutely.
10, 12 years. So in terms of a fighter, he really is like an ultimate fighter. He sort of can do everything, but he studies the likes of Bruce Lee and all these people, and he does study boxing. He does watch boxing. He's a big fan of Lomachenko. I'm guessing we all are as well.
I mean, interesting question for Alex, really, because Alex is Taekwondo black belt. Are you second dan, are you?
First dan.
Yeah, you've got to be coming up for your second dan soon.
Soonish.
Yeah, and you actually did Taekwondo for many years, and then you come and you've had a couple of years of doing the boxing. So all of the little things like, I mean, when you're in there, do you ever think that you want to kick?
No, I mean, to be honest, you get this quite a lot. Quite a lot of people ask this. It's something that doesn't even cross your mind at all.
It's a totally different sport.
Yeah, I mean, it literally doesn't even cross my mind one bit.
I mean, I did once put the body belt on and got Alex to kick me, and it was, the power in the kick was unbelievable. So much so that I took the body belt off after a couple. I wasn't going to take that, and I've took some, you know, good punches to the stomach, but obviously the leg is so powerful. But that would be such a big part of Conor's game, the kicks, because they are such a good weapon.
Yeah.
And now he hasn't got that at all. So, Damien, what do you reckon?
Similar to what's already been said, really. I don't think Mayweather's doing anything by half. I don't know. It's more hyper media attention to get these opinions of they're not taking it seriously. They're not as dedicated as they should be. I've heard Mayweather come out with a few comments which sounds almost, people have said he's making excuses, he's getting ready to lose because he's saying, well, I'm getting old and I'm not as young as I used to be. And he never normally comes out with things like that, so he's saying those kind of, making those statements like, well, I might be fading a bit.
Yeah.
I don't believe in any of it. I think he knows full well on the night he's going to do what he's always done. McGregor's, for me, he always has that puncher's chance. We've seen in that footage, nice straight left. He's got the ability to stop Mayweather. There's no question of that, and I agree with statements that have been here. I could see McGregor stopping Mayweather, but I can't see Mayweather stopping McGregor inside 12. I think Mayweather definitely points, but he has that puncher's chance. I think he's the bigger man and carries that natural power.
So obviously De La Hoya was much bigger. You've got Canelo Alvarez, you've got Mosley, Sugar Shane Mosley, you've got Cotto, you've got Hatton. Are we saying, well, I'm not saying, but are you saying that these guys are not going to be able to hit as hard as Conor McGregor?
No, I think they hit harder than Conor McGregor.
I do. I think every day I do.
Because a technical boxing punch, the issue is there that it's not that I think that they don't hit harder. It's that they've got to hit him in the first place.
Yeah. No, none of these massive punchers have been able to do it.
No, you've seen the fight in I think the second Maidana fight. Right at the end of the round, he really cracks him one, and Mayweather's legs go a bit jittery. And thank God, there's like 10 seconds left, and he's holding onto the rope. If that had been at the start of the round, he might have done him.
So Mosley caught him, didn't he? A couple of times.
Anyone could, Mosley really cracked him one, and it didn't have that much of an effect. So I think when Mayweather does get hit, he takes a good shot, but he hardly ever gets hit. So the idea of a big man hitting him, I don't think it's. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's
good luck to him if he does. But
I think it's one of the reasons that Mayweather takes such a good hit is because his chin is so. It hasn't been tested very much, so it's still super strong, isn't it? In his career. I
mean, another thing that's come out, of course, is the gloves, the size of the gloves. Obviously, it was made with 10-ounce gloves because of the weight. Obviously, Mayweather's come out and said, well, I'll fight in 8-ounce. I've seen stuff online to say that actually Mayweather's wore 8-ounce gloves for like 46 out of 49 fights. So it's no disadvantage for him to wear the same gloves that he always wears. And you know, I think that for people to think that a boxer is disadvantaged by having smaller gloves on, I think totally the opposite.
I don't think it is his disadvantage. I just think it is Conor's advantage. It's not a disadvantage for Floyd to be going down to 8, but I do think it is an advantage to Conor.
I think it's an advantage to Floyd. I really do, because you know, we spar as boxers in 16-ounce. There's lads at the gym, they spar in 18-ounce. 16-ounce gloves, and you know, I've knocked people down with 16-ounce gloves. What am I going to do with 4-ounce or 6-ounce or 8-ounce? Yeah, so when it comes to the gloves, if you look, that's a 16-ounce pair of gloves there, and then these are sort of, I actually weighed these are 5-ounce, but you can see the difference there between the two. I mean, I literally couldn't imagine hitting someone with that. I mean, you're going to do some serious damage with that. If boxers were wearing sort of smaller gloves, I mean, there'd be that many concussions. It'd be mad. In sparring and stuff, if we was wearing, say, even 10-ounce gloves, there'd be just people going to A&E left, right and centre just because of the power that the boxers do throw. So from that point of view, I think the 10-ounce to 8-ounce, I think, is a good thing for Floyd. He's used to them. And I don't think it's going to help Conor personally. What about you, Alex? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's probably an advantage for both of them really. Obviously, Floyd's had most of his fights in the 8 ounce, so it's clearly going to be an advantage for him. Conor, I mean, he fights in 4 ounce, so the lower he can get, the better. I think for him really. I think when it comes to in MMA, I don't think they don't use their hands so much to guard because they've only got these tiny little gloves on, so they can't block behind the gloves. So they probably rely more on their footwork and their head movement because they can't use the gloves. So I think that probably plays into Floyd's hands because the 8 ounce he can still do his Philly shell and the rest of it with his gloves on.
So how did you find it? Like, because obviously the Taekwondo, they're like little sort of punch mitts, and obviously now you're sparring in much bigger gloves. How did you find that transition?
Yeah, I mean, they're heavier for a start. The boxing gloves, if you do round after round, your arms get much more tired. And again, you can defend more with the boxing gloves. There's much more padding to a boxing gloves than say a martial arts glove. You can deflect shots a lot easier. I'd say with a martial arts glove, and I presume with an MMA glove, you can, if someone hits you, you can definitely feel the sort of the knuckle through the glove. And it's more of a sharp shot in I find anyway in martial arts. It's more sharp, whereas in boxing it's more of a dazing, shaking sort of.
But just to point out there, obviously Alex just has done sparring. He will have a fight, but he hasn't had a fight yet. But obviously 10 ounce, and obviously we're talking about 8 ounce here, but 10 ounce with a fist that's been wrapped properly with the tape and the gauze, and in a 8 ounce or 10 ounce glove, it's literally like hitting somebody with a rock. It is that compact. So I think it's going to be devastating to be one of them. So Damien?
Yeah, it's the conversation that we had in the gym recently. I didn't realise that Mayweather had so many fights in 8 ounce. I thought he was a 10 ounce man throughout his career. So there's no real difference. I think it's just another media spin to create attention for the fight. Going 10 to 8, you think, it's going to favour McGregor because it's closer to an MMA glove and he's going to do some real serious damage. Well, don't forget Mayweather's going to punch back. And he's going to counter punch, and whatever he can put on Mayweather's going to put double on McGregor and test his nose out for sure. So I don't see it being an advantage or disadvantage for either guy. It might make the fight shorter because they can both do so much damage to each other with a lighter glove. It might not go to points, although that's how I see it, but it might not go that way because those punches will be so testing. I'm watching I did see the McGregor and the Diaz, the first fight. I think I saw both, but the first one. But the state of Diaz, the blood on the face, and it's very rare in a boxing fight you see that kind of damage. So I know we're going somewhere in between that could cause some serious cuts if they're catching and twisting, which could bring the fight to a close early on because of a cut. Inside of 4 rounds, it's a no contest. So
because that's what Conor's saying, isn't he? He's saying in 8 ounce gloves, it's 2 rounds knockout for him, whereas he was saying in 10 ounce gloves it was a 4 rounds knockout for him. So I mean, he's super confident. I'll give him that. He really is.
I think he did say it's probably 1, but he wants to be humble and say 4. But he reckons it's a 1 round thing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, he just thinks he's going to roll up to Mayweather and just bounce him.
I think he'll be massively frustrated, like all of the people that Mayweather's fought when they come out.
He's not coming at him like Jose Aldo did, is he? With a lead in hand. But and then Conor just sort of took that and knocked him out at the same time, didn't he? But even then, if Jose Aldo would have been allowed to get back up, he probably could have. But because in MMA he jumped straight on him, bam, and the ref had to stop it because at that few seconds after that punch he was unconscious in a daze or whatever. He couldn't defend himself. But that would be, if ref would step in, he'd have the 10 count, and chances are he may have got back up from that and carried on if it was boxing rules.
I mean, that's one of the things that steers me towards boxing as opposed to sort of UFC and MMA is let the man up. Let the man up and stop jumping on him and hammer fisting him and whatever. I really think that if somebody goes down, and this happens a lot in gypsy bare knuckle fights, where a guy goes down, not all of them, but the guy goes down, and then they let him back up, and then they carry on, and it's that stand up.
If he wants to carry on.
If he wants to carry on.
Ask him, do you want to carry on?
Yeah, and he'll say, you've bested me,
Yeah.
and if he says you've bested me, they shake hands, and that's the end
you
of it.
You don't hit him when he's down.
No.
But that's the UFC way.
That's the UFC way.
I think with MMA, I think I can see where you're coming from. It could be severely frowned upon, hitting someone when they're down. But there is martial arts out there which specialise in that. So when you see someone doing the ground and pound, it's not just the UFC, get the MMA guys going, right, it's time to hit him when they're down. There's a martial art called Sambo, which is about taking a man down and beating him when he's down. And it's a skilled martial art. So
I think that sort of MMA, because there is a ground game, then you have to allow hitting on the ground or wear someone down, because that's part of the game. Boxing is a stand-up sport. You do what you've got to do to go down. They can get back up or they can't. But because mixed martial arts has the element of a ground game, you have to allow that to say, well, I can hit someone with the down, because otherwise, well, I'm wrestling with him, but I can't give him one when I'm...
In that instance, I think it is the refs to jump in.
Yes, they're discretion.
John Jones last week who fought DC, and that probably went a couple of punches too far. Like only one or two, but they're big guys. He's a bit of a
I think
monster.
the refs have got to be super careful in MMA, because obviously the damage you can cause when someone's on the floor. One's enough, isn't it? One too many is enough.
So in terms of just this morning, I saw a clip from Mayweather, and it sounds like he's got a mole in the camp of Conor's camp, and he was saying that he says that Conor is extremely heavy, and he's weighing about 164, and he's got to get down to 154, or he'll have to pay a hefty fine. And millions of pounds he's talking about. And he wasn't that bothered about whether he got the money for the fine or whether or not McGregor got down to the actual weight. But I think this sort of time, only a few days left, I'll be a bit concerned if that's true for Conor. £10 over.
There's so much money rising into this, I don't think they would have left anything as a chance. I think he will make it. I think they will know what they're doing by now. He's had plenty of fights where he's had to get down. He rehydrates to 170 is what he said. He's
got to get down for 154 then. On them scales, he's got to be 154.
I mean,
what will it take out of him?
He's been lower than that before, hasn't he?
He used to fight at, I think, 140 something when he fought at featherweight. I think 154 is his perfect fighting weight.
Right.
I mean, it looks like their camp has been super professional, so I think it'd be hard push to get him to...
Let's hope so, because I would think it would be not great if he didn't make the weight.
It would be embarrassing, wouldn't it?
It would be embarrassing for him as a sportsman not to make the weight in such a massive fight with so much build-up. They should have had... That's why it surprises me if they're saying £10 now, because surely over the weeks they could have done that, managed that a little bit better. So let's just wrap it up. 5 predictions, Damien?
I'd say Mayweather on points, but I think at some point, maybe round 3 or 4, Mayweather goes down.
Really?
I think McGregor will pressure him, will stick one on him, will put him down. But
comes through.
Mayweather will come through. He'll just catch him and throw him wobbly, but he'll come through and it'll be a points win. But I think that also because I'm not saying it's completely fixed, but with it generating so much money, they'd love a rematch. So the fact if he can put Mayweather down but lose on points, you could say, well, I could do one better next time. Opens the door and
with the money.
So maybe I've been a bit too sceptical about the fight business, but I think Mayweather points, but a few rumbles in between.
Alex?
Well, obviously I've probably sounded quite pro McGregor throughout this, but I'm not disillusioned in the fact that I know how good Mayweather is. I think Conor's style, I think if he brings all the different sort of traditional martial arts aspects to the game, I think he could cause Floyd some problems. I think if I had to put my money on it, I'd probably say Floyd by points or late round TKO, or maybe Conor early round KO, because he predicts these things and I can never doubt him. But you'd have to say Floyd. You'd have to say Floyd, I think.
James?
On paper it's Floyd, isn't it, all day long? But there is something a bit magic about McGregor. He has just got there's something about him where something could happen at any point. So if a left is like, it doesn't matter who you are fighting, get somebody like Paulie, there's quality there to land that shot. So I'm a lot more confident than I was, say, 6 weeks ago, when it was a whitewash to everybody.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a lot closer. I think it's going to be a Mayweather win. I think it's going to be a McGregor moral victory. I don't think he's going to embarrass McGregor.
Yeah.
I think he'll win on points, and I think it'll be fairly boring from Mayweather, which is what he does best. You know, with all due respect, he's 49-0 for a reason, isn't he?
Yeah, it's like the Pacquiao fight. Yeah. Everyone expected fireworks, and is Mayweather going to go toe to toe? There's no way he was going to fight in this game.
No.
And he stood off and he just counter punched him all night long, and it was boring, and it was what we expected. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, for myself, I did say on an earlier sort of interview on the channel when I did a sort of a sit down, and I thought that Mayweather has some tricky moments early on, and then sort of just figures out Conor, and then sort of wins round after round after round. And I did say at the time that I thought it would be points. I'm still sticking with that. The only caveat to that is if he's giving such a one-sided beating that the ref steps in. And like I say, if it's an Arturo Gatti, who had the heart of a lion, if it's that type of fight where he's just getting picked off, he's not landing anything himself, it's round 8, 9, 10, and he's just getting busted up, I think the ref, it won't go to points because the ref will step in. My biggest fear is that McGregor fouls in some way and that he gets disqualified, because I think that'll be shocking. I think that'll be shocking for him, but I think it'll be shocking for the event, for that, if that happens. So hopefully it'll just be a good fight. They'll stick to the rules, and I include Floyd Mayweather in that, because he can be, sticking the elbow in the person's throat and stuff. The ref needs to be on both of them, making sure that they're both using boxing rules and not sort of straying into anything else, because it could get very, very scrappy. So just to close, just to say thanks very much to Damien, Alex and James. This has been FIT2BOX channel. Please like and subscribe to FIT2BOX channel, and I shall speak to you soon.